Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories and Business. Today, I've got a very interesting lady that we're going to talk to, and I'll tell you why I'm so curious to talk about her, with her in a minute. Let me introduce her, though. So, Jen Kornoely is here with us, and she is the founder of She Reads, She Leads Book Club. I want to hear about this. So, Jennifer believes women need more than motivation to build strong lives and successful businesses. They need entrepreneur skills, financial confidence, personal development, a community where every woman can be both a mentor and a mentee. Love that. Love it. So, today we're going to talk about books, business, confidence, money, community, ADHD, entrepreneurship, and why women rise together may be one of the smartest business strategies of them all. Welcome, Jen. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. What a great introduction.
Oh, yay. Perfect. Okay. So, Jen, let's start with your story. So, what made you leave corporate and you started your own real estate photography business?
Yeah, so I
Ah,
was working a corporate job in Southern California. It was great. I was knocking it out of the park, reaching all my goals. It was perfect. Everything was sunshine and rainbows. But I reported to a man who didn't like me. He didn't like
oh,
women with a voice, essentially. That's what it all came
yeah.
down to. And because he had the owner's ear, he was the pet. I got fired for no performance reason. He didn't like me.
Oh,
It was as simple as that. And I mean, of course, it sucked because now all of a sudden I'm out as a single mom, $100,000 a year. I've lost my benefits. I've lost my stable income. It's like,
oh,
what do I do? And
yeah.
so the idea that someone else controlling my money like that just and it could be anything, regardless of whether your boss doesn't like you or COVID or the economy's wonky, whatever it is, someone else controlling your money just puts you in such a precarious position, especially as women,
Mhm.
single mothers, the responsibilities that women tend to have to bear that maybe men don't have to. So I decided I'm not going to let anyone control my money anymore. And I had done photography as a hobby. And because this was with a hotel company, I had had access to beautiful properties and would just kind of
Ah,
go out and practice and just have fun with it. I didn't realize what I was doing was building a portfolio. So when I no longer had that job, I had these gorgeous images and I started approaching real estate brokers and, hey, let me shoot for you. Let me make all of your images. Let me do your creative. And
yes.
I just started making my own money without someone else as the middleman. But it was still hard because even though I knew how to take pictures, I knew nothing about running a business. I didn't know how to pay taxes or how to pay myself. I didn't know how to network or build strategic relationships, like nothing. All those kind of soft skills that maybe we don't talk about. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just out there winging it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what surprised you the most about running a business?
Um, the money and how it's not just say $1,000 comes in, that's $1,000 in my pocket.
Right.
I have to set aside money preemptively for taxes. I have to know how much of that is for me and, my personal things like, the groceries and the rent, and how much of it needs to stay in the business for future expenses. I had no idea how any of that worked. So like when, that $1,000 would come in, it was like, oh great, I have $1,000. No,
Right.
that's not how it works.
Yes. Yeah.
So my money mindset was really askewed. I didn't understand the responsible or the long-term planning way to work money in my own business.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I went from a government job in 1991 to real estate. So I would have been one of those realtors you would have come out and taken pictures for. And I made it for 34 years. So I retired from that job in 2024. But you hit the nail right on the head. Like it's great to be an entrepreneur, but you are if you're still in that employee mindset, you're in
Yeah.
big trouble.
Yeah, there's a really great book about it called The E-Myth, and they kind of
Yes, I've seen
dissect
that
like
book.
just because you're good at doing the skill, making the widgets, that's not the same thing as running the business.
Yes.
And there are
Yeah.
different roles, and I was very ignorant to that. And it's
Yeah.
taken me a lot of years to kind of wrap my head around all the
Yeah.
hats you wear as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. For me as well, when I first started, 18 months in, I'm just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, but obviously I figured it out. Yeah, it can be very difficult. And as I say, when you come from that 9 to 5, lunches between 12 and 1,
Yeah.
your all your benefits are there. We take your tax off to all of the sudden having to deal with all of that on your own. You're right. It's you're trying to run your business and now you've got all this other stuff that you have to do as well. It's a lot to take in.
And so often you don't know what you don't know.
No, we
Like
don't.
you might
No.
realize, okay, there's a gap. I'm not
Yeah.
business savvy. I don't have my MBA, whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I don't know what I'm supposed to learn.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Well, which one of the things did you find the hardest in the beginning? The finances, the marketing, the confidence, business growth. What was the most difficult for you?
I think, of course, confidence was a massive hurdle, but I sort of quickly learned fake it till you make it because I had to support my child. And so if I don't at least pretend that I know what I'm doing, the money's not going to roll in. So that was sort of just hidden away, and we don't talk about the lack of confidence. We're just going to pretend it's there and worry about that later. But I think definitely it was starting with personal finance because I think that that's kind of like the building block that you need to develop your entrepreneurial skills on top of. Because if you
Mhm.
don't have an understanding of how your own money works on just a small scale for your household, you won't understand how it works on a larger scale within a
Mhm.
business. So I
Mhm.
think just kind of realizing I need to get my money mindset in the right place. I need to start learning about the things that I had no idea about. Because, when I grew up, these conversations weren't happening at home. Things like investing and
No,
retirement plans and,
no.
having your money work for you. Those were other people conversations. Those were for rich people, not for normal people,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is ridiculous. But
I understand what you mean. Yes.
So I think once I started to get kind of a base knowledge of how personal finance really works and how it can
Yeah.
be leveraged for improvement and how money is simply a tool to gain
Mm.
access. And that's all it is. When you
Yes.
have more access to money, you also have more access to safety and resources and cleanliness and food. It's just a tool. And kind
Yeah.
of realizing that changed my perspective on what money really was and how
Yes.
to maneuver it to my benefit within a business too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of women are excellent at what they do, but they
Yes.
also struggle with the business side. So what do you think happens when they get out there?
I think a lot of I think it's a few things. I think, first of all, the messaging is very different when we're growing up. Um, Conversations tend to happen freely around boys and young men about what money is, and you are expected to be the provider, and you are expected to bring home the bacon, and all these things. Boys and men are conditioned to have money and to be smart with their money. Girls are sort of conditioned in a lot of households to be just let him take care of you. Don't worry about it. Just be cute, have babies. Same conversations aren't happening
No.
to the girls at the boys. And even as we get older, the messaging in media is different. Boys are taught to kill it and be a crypto bro and be aggressive with your money, and they're taught how to invest. Meanwhile, the messaging that comes towards girls and women is don't have that avocado toast. Oh, you can't afford a daily latte. You better not get your nails done too much. We're taught this scarcity mindset. So I think
Yes.
a lot of it is just the our environmental conditioning tends to be a lot of different. And for girls who do grow up with really great money conversations at home, they are so lucky and they are so ahead of the
Yeah.
game to be able to
Yeah.
be encouraged to, be aggressive with money and learning and earning. They
Yes,
they really have a leg
absolutely.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When I first started in real estate, it was very rare that a single woman would come along and purchase. So it was
Yeah.
a couple or a married couple,
Hmm.
or it might be, a very senior lady whose husband's passed on and she's downsizing. But in the last, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years while I was in it, there was more and more women buying properties all by themselves.
Yeah. Remember there was maybe remember the show Sex and the City when that was on air and
Yes.
Miranda was buying her condo and they made a whole shtick about how she had to check all the boxes that said single woman and they kept, kind of grilling her, oh, are you getting the deposit from your dad? Or
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was it was
Yes.
such ooh, she's a woman and she's buying her place by herself. It was a big deal.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, how did personal development books start to changing the way you thought about yourself and business?
Well, a lot of it started because, like I said, I was doing real estate photography. And when you're photographing a home, you're usually there by yourself.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's lonely to not interact with anyone. And, you're out there all day by yourself in these empty houses with nobody to talk to. So I started
Yeah.
listening to audiobooks. And
Hmm.
I was like, I don't know anything about money, but I know I like money. So let's learn about money. And I just started listening to audiobooks and podcasts about personal finance. And then I started kind of broadening out to things like, investing and business and stuff like that. And I started knowing or started realizing that my knowledge base was changing. My conversations were changing with my girlfriends. Instead of shallow, superficial conversations, we were now having conversations about, do you maximize your 401k contributions?
Mm.
And you know, being picky with choosing who to date based on how responsible are they with their money, things like that. Like I was just noticing
Yeah.
conversations were shifting. I was starting to advocate for myself and negotiate. I was less willing to take a first or a lowball offer.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
started to realize that I have a value and I have a worth and
Yes.
standing up for it and insisting if
Yeah.
you don't see my worth, we don't have a future in whatever type of relationship this is, whether business or
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah.
So it took a while, but when you see or feel it happening, it's magical, absolutely
Yeah.
magical.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said all of that because I think it's so important. So we are in such an information age.
Yeah,
I get up in the morning and I'm listening as I'm, got my phone in my back pocket and I'm listening to all sorts of motivational stuff and things that I'm learning. And so and we could and it's free. And we
yeah,
couldn't do that years and years ago. And as you said, and the audiobooks too. I've got a few that I love to listen to when I'm driving.
yeah.
So there's no reason that we can't learn. Even if you didn't have the cash to put out for those, there's so much free
So
resources.
many. If
Yeah.
you have a library card, and absolutely everybody should have at least one library card, you can use the Libby app or the Hoopla app and have access to audiobooks for free.
Ah,
Now,
I
like
I
I live
don't
in a
have a
small
yeah.
town and our library is not as stocked as, big city libraries,
Yeah.
but they partner with other libraries. And there are other areas like I have a random library card from Harris County, Texas. I
Oh,
live in Idaho.
yeah.
They were letting anybody who wanted one have a free library card. I think it's now restricted to Texas residents, so I'll probably not be able to renew it, but it's a library card. When I travel to big cities, like when I go to LA or Minneapolis,
Yeah.
I get a local library card. I pay the $60 annual fee,
Yeah.
well worth it. And I make sure
Ah.
I always have access to resources.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smart. Good for you. I
It's
think that
cheaper
that's
than
a
an MBA.
yeah, there you go. Exactly. But it just goes to show like, if you want to change your life, you have to figure out how to do that and go to the people who've done it or can help you to learn what you
Yeah.
need. So
Yeah.
you also joined masterminds. So what
Yeah.
did community give you that books alone couldn't give you?
A sounding board.
Mm,
The ability to ask other people who have either done the thing before me or who have an outside perspective, what they think, what they failed at, what they learned from it. The ability to have a sense of community and ask questions. Like, I remember I was asking a girlfriend who owned a very successful resort. I asked her, how did you learn how to do all this? Like, how do you just have this business knowledge? And she said, oh, well, my dad was some executive with like Bloomingdale's or something like that.
yeah.
And so when he retired, he came down here and helped me run the resort and he taught me everything. And I'm like, well,
Mm,
I don't have an executive dad to teach me anything. So I started treating people who were in that mentor space. You will be my executive dad, and I will
yeah.
ask you questions, and I will hold nothing back with, I want to know all the personal details. I want to know the nitty gritty. I want to know the numbers. How much are you making? What are you doing? How many hours a week are you working? I want to know the things. Life is
Yeah.
very short. Teach me now.
Good for you. Absolutely. Okay, here's where I'm super curious. She
Okay.
reads, she leads book club. So, what is this book club all about? Tell us all about it.
So I was listening to all these audiobooks while in these empty houses, and it was great because I'm learning new information, I'm seeing the changes, but 2 days later, like most of the information would be completely gone from my head. Like I couldn't retain it. And I'm thinking, I need somebody to like talk to about this. Like who wants to talk about all this cool stuff with me. So I started reaching out to women on LinkedIn and I'm like, hey, who out there loves books, especially nonfiction business books,
Yeah.
and who wants to talk about them? And so many women were like, I do. I I don't know what I don't know. I want to have these conversations. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I need my entrepreneurial support group. And wanting to also simultaneously move away from photography as my full-time income, realizing there is something that not only helps women, uplifts community, fills their bucket, but can evolve into a viable business that fills my needs too. So
Hmm.
it was kind of a perfect storm of everything coming together.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
what do you do in that book club? I mean, you've told us a little bit,
Yeah.
but what is it that you're actually doing in there?
So every month we vote on a book. I put together a list of maybe 10 to 12 books that are business, finance, and mindset books, books that have come really highly recommended. Everybody in the group votes, and the winner is what we read for the month. So then everybody goes off and reads for the month. A lot of people do audiobooks, some people are Kindle people, some people are physical book people. Everyone does what is their method for learning. They go
Yes.
read. We have a Facebook group, so if anyone's having questions or wants to vent or, oh, I don't like this chapter, we have a place for all that conversation to happen during the month. And then at the end of the month, we get together on Zoom. So the nice thing about doing it on Zoom is we're not limited geographically. We can have a
Right.
variety of different people.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of talk about it. And it's not so much me up there giving a book report because nobody wants to listen to me prattle on for an hour. So it's,
Yeah.
I'm just sort of facilitating the conversation. And
Yeah.
if someone is a little shy, bringing them in, what did you think about it? How are you applying this into your business? And it's so conversational. And it's
Uh,
really great to have this safe place for women to open up, be vulnerable, admit that they're struggling with something, but
yeah.
also to have it be a place of accountability and help and guidance. And if someone is struggling with something, somebody else who maybe has experience in it or took a different little nugget from the book because they have a different background, they can weigh in and say, oh, I had a problem with this same thing too. This is how I got through it. Or do you remember that example in the book where they talked about this, this, and this? What if
Mhm.
you tried doing this? It's kind of that perfect mix of go and read the thing, let it apply to you, let it sink in. And now let's come together and brainstorm how we can get the
Wow.
most out of it. It's
Wow.
so fun seeing the conversations just organically
Yeah.
happen between people who don't know each other in real life.
Yes. Yes. Oh, what did I want to ask you about? Oh shoot, it'll come back to me. There was something I had in my mind. It'll come back. Oh, mentors. Yes, and a mentee. That's
Yeah.
right. So how does that work in your group?
It's very informal. A lot of it is we're all at different places in our careers. We're all in different places with our financial literacy. In one area, I might have no experience. In another area, I might be an expert. So it's sort of this kind of layering effect of letting people come together and talk about their struggles, but also the areas where they shine, and letting everybody help where they can, and letting everybody be vulnerable when they need it. So and that's one reason why it's a women's only group, is because women do need these safe spaces where they can open up and be vulnerable.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what do you see women avoid when it comes to money, pricing, profit, or financial decisions? What are they avoiding?
They avoid pricing their worth.
Hmm.
I see a lot of women who, and I think a lot of it is just the conditioning and the messaging we've grown up around. Oh, just take anything that comes your way. Be grateful for what you got. Instead of, no, I have an area of expertise. I will charge my value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a hard one. And I think it comes so much from, and I'm not sure. I mean, I guess there's a whole society reason why women feel they're not worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it takes a lot sometimes to
It
get
does.
to
It
get it,
does.
yeah,
Yeah.
figured out. And yeah, yeah,
But when you start having conversations, like the honest, nitty-gritty conversations about money and value, and you start hearing from other women, oh, no, you're not charging enough. Your service is worth more than that. Being told that, whether you already have been told or not, continually being told, you really start to believe it after a while.
yes, yes, yeah. Well, and it's true.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's been times where I've taken jobs where, oh, it's better than what someone else is paying, so I guess I'll take it. Come to realize later, after conversations with other women who have more experience, oh, that's still below market rate. I
Oh,
should have charged more.
so are you froze for a second? Can you just repeat that?
Oh, sorry.
That's
There have
okay.
been times where I have taken jobs, photography
Yeah,
jobs, um, that were okay, well, it's higher than what I'm making at this other
yeah,
shoot. So sure, I'll take it. Only to realize later, after very honest conversations with other women who have more experience, no, you are under the market rate. You need to be raising your prices. And
yeah.
when you start having those honest conversations and discussing actual numbers, you'll really start to put things into a different perspective.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. What's the difference between reading a book and actually implementing what you learn?
Hmm. So a lot of books, like obviously, I'm not going to take everything every book says and apply it to my life. A friend of mine gave me the best analogy. He said, eat the chicken, leave the bones.
Mm,
So when you're taking a book, there's going to be bits and pieces that don't apply to you, and that's totally
yes.
fine. Or bits and pieces that you don't like or agree with
Yes.
or whatever, and that's fine. You don't have to ingest those. I'm going to take the little nuggets that I like and that I want to apply into my business and my life. And once I start implementing them, I'm also going to start retaining more of the information. So there's this thing called the learning pyramid or the learning triangle. And
Yeah.
if you picture a triangle, it's real small at the top, real wide at the base. When you take in information in a single audiovisual way, whether it's going to a lecture and hearing the thing, reading a book and just reading it with your eyes, reading an audiobook, whatever it is, you take it in singularly, you're only going to retain about 10% of the information.
Mm,
When you take it in multiple ways, like say you're listening to an audiobook with your ears and you're following along with the physical book, so you can underline and a little more tactile, you're going to start retaining about 20% of that information. When you start discussing it with other people who've also read the book, you're going to start retaining about 50% of the information. And when you start implementing it into your business, you're going to retain about 70% of that information. And when you start teaching others, you're going to start retaining 90% of the information. That's the base of
Wow.
the triangle.
Wow.
So the more you talk about and implement ideas that you have read about or learned about into your business, the more you start being able to remember all those ideas that you're taking in. Because, like I was saying
Yeah.
earlier, you read a book, a couple days later, someone's like, "Oh, what was it about?" And you're like, "Well, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was about money. It was about
Yeah.
investing, whatever it was about." But I can't remember the details. So the more you start getting kind of diversified in that knowledge, the more is going to land in your head.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You've said ADHD is your superpower. So,
Yes.
how has ADHD shaped the way you work, lead, and build?
I am like a squirrel distracted by shiny objects. I cannot stay focused on a singular, especially if it's a boring task where I'm expected to just sit in my little seat and do a thing for more than 5 minutes. I want to experience all the things. I want to talk about all the things. I want to do all the things. So, because of that, I am very willing to, when it comes to the books, read a very wide variety of topics and not just one book at a time. Right now, I am currently in progress with 5 books because I
Ah,
want something to fit each mood. Or if I'm in the car, I want something a little more peppy to keep me awake. Or if I'm at
yeah.
going to bed, I want something a little more lulling me to sleep. So it helps me to ingest a variety of information. I want to read about investing, but I also want to read an autobiography by about a really interesting woman. And I also want to be consuming some fiction because that has been proven to increase empathy and creativity and the ability to relax. So, yeah, ADHD has introduced me to so many topics. I am the opposite of whatever having blinders and tunnel vision
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have ADHD, so you figure out how to use it to your advantage because it's
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I like too is taking in the variety of information gives me a creative approach. So one of the levels of the book club membership is like a brainstorming session. So once a month we do brainstorming, and whether it's regarding the book we're currently reading or just other concepts. And it's great because if I have, say, someone who sells insurance as my book clubber, I don't sell insurance. I'm going to be looking at their business from a very different perspective, from the perspective of a creative.
Right.
So it kind of gives me this wider variety of things to pull from when it comes to helping them with whatever they're struggling with. So if they're struggling with what kind of Facebook content do I write? Oh, great. I've got an extensive list of ideas because there's all this rattling around in my head all day long, anyways. So
Yeah.
it kind of helps just have a less narrow perspective on different types of businesses and how they all run.
Yeah. So, have you seen women make real changes in their business because of something they've read or discussed in the group?
1,000%. There
Oh,
was one book in particular we read called Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud. And it's all about kind of boundary setting and getting rid of the things in life that don't suit you. And he gives this analogy of a rose bush. Say you have this big, beautiful rose bush in your front yard. You have to be willing to trim away and cut off a few of the rose buds in order to let the other stronger ones flourish. So they have the space and the resources
yes.
for all the things. And we read that book. We had all kinds of really great conversation about boundaries and healthy relationships. And a couple months later, I was at a networking meeting and I knew there was someone in our book club who was having a really difficult struggle with one of their vendors, but they felt really guilty about severing that relationship.
Mm.
And she came up to me and she said, I trimmed that rose bush. And I immediately knew what she was talking about and what she had done in her business. So it's just having these conversations that
Mhm.
are honest
Yeah.
and kind of open people's eyes up to, yeah, okay, I need to sever that relationship to allow
Yeah.
for someone better to fill that role.
Well, absolutely. I always look at it like cleaning out the closet. You clean
Yeah.
out your closet and you just get new clothes. It just happens, right? It just happens. So I think it's the same kind of thing. If you've
Yeah.
got clients that are not serving you and they're causing you to wake up in the middle of the night thinking about them, or a business, yeah, just cut that rose bush.
Exactly. And also just like when you come into the group and we're having our Zoom and we're talking about that book and someone is saying, I'm struggling with this other person, even though maybe we know in our rational brain, I need to let them go out of my business.
Yeah.
Having other women kind of validate that and be like, just
Yes.
reassuring, like, hey, this is a business, this isn't a friendship. You should be doing this. You need to let them go. It's okay. And having
Yes.
other women who are in the same sort of boat that you are, give permission to do the thing you already know you need to do. It really lends a lot of weight.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a great advice. Excuse me, great advice. So, what would you say to a woman or to women
Hmm.
who feel alone because they're trying to grow their business from home? There's
Yeah.
so many of us now that are working from home. And like, if I'm not careful, I cannot, other than my husband, I don't see anybody for like a whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's easy. It's comfortable and wonderful to be home and enjoy the cozy. But there are a couple things. So the first thing is nothing amazing was ever built by a single person. It's always done with a community. Always.
yes.
Whether
Yeah,
it's I'm building a spaceship to go to the moon or I am building a, TED Talk style conference. Whatever it is, nothing is ever done alone. You need to be doing things within community. In fact, there is Harvard just wrapped up the longest study on human, I'm just going to say humanity, whatever.
yeah.
And they were measuring everything. What are people eating? What are people doing for exercise? How much money are people making? What cars are they driving? They measured literally everything for 80 years. And
Oh.
yeah, I know. And they were doing it for multiple generations. And they found that the biggest indicator of quality of life and length of life is community.
Mm,
And for women especially, there's
yeah.
been several other research studies done that as we get older, what will determine our health and longevity is community, regardless of what type of community, whether it's your
Yeah.
church, whether it's
Yeah.
networking groups, whatever it is, women need
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And a
Mm,
lot of times there are amazing communities online. You don't always have to put on hard pants and sneakers to go out and have a sense of community. You
yes.
can have community online. It sounds weird because I think a lot of us who maybe grew up with social media kind of feel like, oh, it's not real. But
Yeah.
there are real groups and
Yes.
communities online. I have met my best in-person girlfriends through LinkedIn. Like, you know, never thought it would be, but I'm trying to be very intentional about who I surround myself and who I put in my orbit. And I
Yeah.
figured I want women who like talking about business and have that
Yeah.
kind of mindset for achievement. I'm going to go on LinkedIn, see who's around, who looks interesting, and just DMing people and be like, hey, you look interesting. We have a lot of things in common. You want to go grab a coffee? Or if you don't live right here, you want to have a Zoom? Let's get to know each other.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird. I feel like a stalker sometimes, but I have
No,
met some amazing real
yeah,
life
and it's
girlfriends.
not world weird because this is the way our world is now.
Yeah,
I mean, here we are. We're in different
I know.
countries. Complete. I had a Zoom call with this amazing woman from Norway a couple of mornings
I
ago.
love it.
So it's where could we take advantage? Where could we have ever done this? We could never have done this before.
I know. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And being able to leverage the internet, social media, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. Just last week, I have a girlfriend who I grew up with, where I grew up in Minnesota, and we've known each other for 25 years. She's an executive in HR. And because I've known her a long time, I know a lot about what she does and everything. And then maybe a year or two ago, I met a lady on LinkedIn because we had a lot of people in common. She lives in Spain. She's from Oregon, but she lives in Spain currently. I'm obsessed with Spain. So we started chit-chatting and she was telling me what she's working on. And I was like, hey, I know just the person to introduce you to. So I was able to introduce someone who lives in Spain with someone who lives in Minnesota, and they were able to have a great conversation because of the internet, because of social media, because of LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is community online. You just have to
Yeah.
sometimes be willing to be a little out of your comfort zone or be a little embarrassed or humble and say, hey,
Yes.
you look cool. Can we
Yeah.
talk? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Fabulous. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your three read these books first for women who want to grow in business and confidence?
So I think personal finance is the base of all learning because money is a tool, it is a resource. And if you don't understand how your personal money works, you won't understand how it works in a business. So I
Yeah.
always suggest people start with personal finance. And there's three really great books that I love for women. And I think every woman should be reading this, especially if you are millennial, Gen Z, to be able to kind of get a leg up. We didn't have
Yeah.
books like this when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was Susie Orman, and that was it.
Yeah, I remember Susie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So one of them is The Financial Feminist by Tori Dunlap. She really talks about how the messaging is very different when it comes to not only men and women, but very different for white women versus women of color, versus women with a strong educational history in their family versus women who didn't grow up with access. So she talks a lot about the different messaging. Another one is Rich AF by Vivian Tu. She starts to bridge the gap between personal finance and wealth building a little bit because she has a background with Wall Street. So it's a really great and gentle introduction into the bigger scheme of how money works. And then another one I really love is Get Good with Money by Tiffany Aliche. She talks a lot about budgeting and tracking your money, and not from a perspective of shame or restriction, but instead to pay attention to what you spend your money on and make sure it's something that's important to you. There's nothing wrong with spending money, but don't spend it like on the stupid things that aren't going to really bring value to your life. And the only way you really know what you're spending is by keeping an eye on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 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 No, those are great. I will be watching this back and making notes about those books.
So I
So,
have a list.
yeah. Oh, you have
It's
a list.
You do. It's a downloadable, read these three books first list. And it's the best three books, in my
Okay.
opinion, across
Okay.
six different categories. So personal finance is where I think everybody should start. But then
Yeah.
there's also starting a business, building wealth, connecting and networking, productivity and outsourcing, and mindset and boundaries. So
Perfect.
on the shereads.com website, there is a section where you can go and get the downloadable PDF for this is a great place to start.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that
Yeah.
because I would have been as I'm editing and doing my thing, I'm like, where was she talking about those books again? So, what do you hope women feel after being part of your book club?
I hope they feel empowered to talk about maybe kind of sensitive topics.
Hmm.
I hope women feel encouraged to want to develop new skills. And I want women to be able to feel confident in having control of their money. Even if you have a corporate job that you love or want to stay in corporate, you don't want to be an entrepreneur, having those entrepreneurial skills will always benefit you. Reading
Yes.
books on negotiation, well, maybe you're not negotiating client contracts, but you know what? You probably are negotiating your salary raise and you probably are negotiating your pay when you start a new corporate job. So having skills like that will always make you more valuable in every realm.
Or you're getting a mortgage or you're buying a
Yeah,
house or a
exactly.
car. There's so, yeah, we're constantly. Wow.
Even if you're not an entrepreneur, you are a part of business.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, this has been such a fabulous conversation, and
Oh, thank you.
you are a wealth of information, and you
It's the
can
ADHD.
it is the ADHD. Well, you've encouraged me because I've got a few. I'm just looking over at my bookcase over there. I got a few things that I need to dive back into that I've kind of let set for a while. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that it's wonderful what you're doing. So, for everyone that's watching or listening, I will have all of the information on how to reach out to Jen, how to get that list of books off of her website. So we'll have that in the show notes so that you're able to do that and reach out to her if that's what you want to do, or join her group, or whatever it is that you want or you need. But I think it sounds like a really fabulous community that you've built.
Thank you.
and supportive and needed and needed. I remember giving they gave me my desk in 1991, and I remember I came from working at social services. I knew
Oh.
nothing about what do you mean I don't get a paycheck? I knew that, but I knew it, but I didn't really let it sink in, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting at this desk and it's empty. And I'm like,
What do I do?
what do I do? How do I get clients? What do I do? And so it would have been very nice to have a group like yours to be able to attend and get some advice. It would have made my first 18 months not quite so bumpy along the way.
Even if you are savvy in all the things, having a group to be able to vent to and just be like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I am so frustrated. Or can you believe this guy said this thing?
Yeah.
Just to know you're not alone when
Yes.
you're experiencing these things is
Yeah.
it's so wonderful.
It is. It is absolutely. And as you said from that Harvard report that or study that you read, like we need community
Yeah,
for
we do.
all sorts of reasons, but we sure do.
Yeah,
And women, we need each other.
we do. Women
We do.
make everything better.
Yes, we do.
We make the home a lovely, cozy place. We make economies better.
Yes.
Women really do uplift.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Well, that's a fabulous note to leave it on, Jen. So thank you so much for being here. I have gotten a lot of information from you and got my brain clicking, and I hope that yours is as well. So as I said, we will have all of Jen's information in the show notes. So don't hesitate to reach out, get that list of books. It sounds like some really good ones on there, and if you feel the need. If you don't want to join Jen's group or you don't want to join my Women Like Me group, find a group. Find
Yeah,
a group out there, ladies, to join. We need to bond together and help one another.
we do.
Yeah. Okay, Jen, thanks so much. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.